now, the Gauteng Education Department will give an update on school placements and its state of readiness for the new academic year. By Friday, there were about 2,000 pupils who were yet to be placed. Linda Mnisi following this story for us, and he joins us live now. Linda, good morning to you. So you'll give us an update on the status of those 2,000 pupils that are still hoping to be placed. But overall, does Gauteng look like it is ready to reopen schools tomorrow?
Well, Polly, we'll hear all of those details in that media briefing that will get underway in just under 15, 16 minutes, which will be, of course, led by the MEC of Education here in Gauteng. You speak about the 2,000 learners that were yet to be placed, and that's a figure that we got from the Gauteng Department of Education last week. And, of course, you'll remember that in December they had also opened up for late applications. Around the 20th of December, that's what they had done. But to talk us through those numbers, I'm joined now by the education spokesperson here in Gauteng, Steve. Steve, thank you so much for your time. Last week you were talking about 2,000, sorry. Have you been able to reduce that number?
Yeah, I can confirm we have reduced the figure. MEC will talk to the remaining figure and on what is it that we are going to be doing today.
I think one of the important things, Steve, to first highlight also is the issue around the record-breaking applications that you get as Gauteng. Last year you were counting around 700,000, if I'm not mistaken, applications that you received for this academic year. Talk to us about how that affects learner placement.
No, it does. I mean, most so that everyone wants to come to Gauteng. There's a lot of in-migration as well, from one district to the other, and so you need to be accommodative. But we really need to put an emphasis that when coming to capacity, yes, indeed, we are challenged. It will be naive of us not to, admit that. But what we will normally plead for is cooperation, amongst parents. We need to work together and make sure that we, to a certain extent, when we give them alternative spaces, we need to be amenable to that and then work with those spaces that we are given.
And you speak about capacity. I wonder then how the districts are doing around this time, given the fact that the schools will be opening tomorrow. Are they coping with the parents who will, of course, be making their way to the districts, hoping that their children will be placed?
I think those that are advocating that we must stop with the system, they should see what happens in the district offices with those parents that would have went to schools to apply for inner grades. Inner grades, I'm talking about anything that is not a grade 1 and 8. They went to many schools. Schools are saying they are full. What is the recourse? They must come to the district offices. That's when we will then have to try to accommodate them. So if we were to go back to the olden days, it means we will have a lot of people queuing at our district offices every time when we're about to open schools, because most of them would have not been given an opportunity to apply to more than one school. Because with the system, you can apply to about 5 schools, 3 schools, and you know that even if you are not accommodated at those, we're in a position to give you an alternative because we have you in the system. But if we were to go back, go queue, they open an opposite gate from where you are queuing. They look at you that you cannot afford, and when they gatekeep, we will then be having serious problems. So we just want to caution parents when they are frustrated. We need not to advocate for doing away with the online admissions, because we will regret why we even initiated that we must go back.
But there are also parents who are frustrated because they're not happy with the schools that you gave them. How are you resolving that issue?
It's quite difficult, like as I've indicated. I mean, in a school where, that's why we decided to come in this area. About 1,200 parents applied, wanted to be in this school. And you will understand that this is one of the schools that they were amenable to change. They were a single medium, and we, for the past 4 years, we've been advocating. We worked with them very closely. They opened up for English. Now it's dual medium. The last cohort that wrote in 2022, that was the last single medium, in Afrikaans learners. Now, starting with this year, in this school, it's a jewel. We have English and Afrikaans, so we're quite happy. And we're saying in all other areas, parents need to understand we need to change. I mean, our society has changed. I mean, the demographics has changed. We live together now. Let's open up and make sure that we accommodate our children in our schools.
All right, Francis, thank you so much for your time. Gauteng Education spokesperson Steve Mabonadetoli talking to us about what is going to take place during that press briefing that will start at exactly 10 o'clock. He says they've managed to reduce that figure of 2,000 learners who are yet to be placed. So we'll hear more then on what the department has done in order to make sure that it is ready for tomorrow, because as you can imagine, there will be parents that will be frustrated queuing at districts and frustrated at the process in its entirety. So around 10 o'clock then the MEC will brief us in terms of how they've done with that learner placement.
Mnisi, thank you very much for that update, and we're hoping to dip in to that media briefing as soon as the MEC does start addressing. All right, let's